What's going on, guys? What's going on, girls? We're back here, back again. We got another Saturday slate, 2-game slate. Last week's Saturday slate actually did decently well on. Finished one of my 5 lineups that I put into that tournament. Finished in the top 150, and it's crazy because 1 point takes you from like a $300 profit to a 4-figure profit. 2 points takes you, it's so close up there, from a $300 profit to a 5 figures profit. So, I mean, if Deshaun Hamilton in that lineup would have caught like another ball for 10, 20 yards, would have been in really cashing. But it was a nice sweat. It was fun. And there's a couple things that I can kind of take away from that and share with you guys based on that. But again, Saturday edition, welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, we're going to get in, break down this Saturday edition, first look video, first time looking at this. Definitely going to play it. Saturday's fun. It's going to be Christmas weekend, whichever way you want to look at that. Definitely Christmas weekend, Christmas on Tuesday. Monday Night Football's on Christmas Eve. It's just a great week, guys. So best wishes, happy holidays to all of you, whichever you're celebrating. Happy holidays. And welcome to the channel if you're new. My name's Sal. I review DFS content in the off-season, mainly football right now. I'm going to try and get more into MLB when that starts and more into NBA. I've been dabbling in it, but I don't know. I know the basics and all the rules and all that type of stuff, but I don't have enough confidence in kind of teaching it to you guys right now. Although I have actually increased my knowledge quite a bit in the past month, so I'm going to be trying to do that once NFL season ends, playoffs end, and then I'm going to do off-season strategy for NFL, bankroll, all those types of things. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button if that's all things you want to learn about DFS, how to be a sharper player, see fun videos like this. Hit that like button as well, and you could also enter into a $15 PayPal by putting in the description below who will be the highest scoring fantasy football wide receiver. If anybody picks a top 5 scorer of the next week, so whoever's the highest scorer, we'll do a little wheel and we'll pick a winner. If nobody picks the highest scoring guy, we'll go down up until the 5th guy. If nobody picks it, then nobody gets it. But yeah, let's break down this slate, guys. So last week, something that I noticed and something that is tough to fade. So in these 1-game slates, I say that it's viable to fade some of the stars, right? And I agree with that. But this DeAndre Hopkins in primetime is not a guy that you fade. The guy's a monster in primetime. He's a monster overall, but a monster in primetime. He was owned in like 80% of lineups in that 2-game slate, and that's fine. I'm fine eating that chalk because you had to eat that chalk to win because he went for 10, 170, and 2 touchdowns. And in 2-game slates like these, I think it's very smart to know where the chalk's going to be, but eat the chalk if it's a star, right? So, I mean, we can look at this slate right here. Melvin Gordon's a guy who might be coming back. He has a tough matchup, right? And we know that Hopkins didn't have that tough of a matchup last week, so it made him an even better play. There's not many stars. I mean, it's really Melvin Gordon. Henry's been having a couple of good games, of course. But it's Melvin Gordon, and that's about it. Keenan Allen, if he plays. And then the quarterbacks, there's a couple of decent ones. So this one's actually going to probably have spread out ownership, whereas last week you knew a lot of guys were going to want to own the running backs in Chubb and Lindsey, even Lamar Miller, and definitely DeAndre Hopkins. So this one might be a little bit harder, but I'm going to say eat the chalk on superstars if they are playing and they are a go, because they're going to be the guys on a short slate who are going to get the most opportunities. Yes, I like to be more contrarian on 1-game slates because the ownership in those slates is just so much more focused, right? You can have 80% ownership on 2 or 3 guys in the slate, and fading one of them is contrarian. Here, you're going to have ownership of 80% on probably only 1 to 2 guys on the slate, depending on the slate. Like last week where we saw it was just basically Hopkins had that high ownership. And it's fine not fading him because he's a stud, and if he goes off, you're screwed. So in most lineups in 2 games, I don't know why I think about it that way. I like eating the chalk on stars. But again, on this slate, it doesn't look like it just on a quick glance that there's much stars. I mean, yes, you have Gordon, but he's coming off a hamstring injury, which can be re-aggravated easily, and he's going up against the #1 rush defense. Yes, he's at home, so that helps. Yes, he gets a ton of work in the backfield. On the goal line, but again, they have 2 more guys out there who Justin Jackson, Austin Eckler, guys who can get it done, and guys who can definitely all see 10 opportunities in this game. So that's scary because if Austin Eckler does the whole 10 touch for 100 yards and a touchdown thing, not a lot of people are going to have him probably, and you're going to be buried. So it's tough to try and pick who's going to be getting the ball here in these games. So it's definitely a harder slate. It's not an as focused pool of players who are going to be getting opportunities. But let's just try and build something. And I'm going to try something different. I tried it on the 2-game slate last week. This is not something that I usually do if you check out the first look video. I'm going to try and reverse engineer this lineup kind of and put in my defense last like I usually do because I don't really care too much. But on these smaller slates, there could be some value in paying up to get better ownership on a better defense. But I'm going to try and put my quarterback in last and see what we could fit in there. Obviously, you see Lamar Jackson. He's probably going to be the sexiest play on this slate, I would imagine. But he's on the road. He's going up against the Chargers, who are a decent defense, right? And he's been, I mean, decent in the air. You can see his rating just based on him not having a high completion percentage, really. And being efficient, not turning the ball over as much these last few weeks. And he, again, is going to be going for this Mike Vick, threatening the 100-yard receiving. He's going to be on prime time, so that's going to help him a little bit. But on the road on prime time, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks struggle all season long, especially last week with Baker Mayfield and Case Keenum. Rivers going up against Baltimore, I don't want to touch that at all, but if you're going to be playing tournaments, he's probably the guy to go to because you're paying up one, so a lot less people are going to want to pay up, and he's playing Baltimore too. But Baltimore's been shutting down quarterbacks left and right. So I'm probably going to be going in this category here. Again, Joe Flacco didn't do anything the past week. They let Lamar steal the show, but he's always lurking as well. But Lamar Jackson's rushing upside is very viable. This week I don't know. I mean, Tennessee's a tough defense for a guy like Josh Johnson, who also is rushing the ball. You see basically 50 yards each of the last 2 weeks. But he could be yanked pretty quickly as well because he's not really doing anything in the air. He gets a tough matchup. Mariota might be the guy that a lot of people go to. He might be the guy that I end up focusing on. Against the Washington defense, it's not packing in the towel, but pretty close to it. Bad overall. Hawk Clinton Dick, shout out you. You're not that great. But again, we'll come back last and we'll see which ones we can get up to. So Derrick Henry is the first guy that catches my eye. He's going to be the guy that could be that really high-owned guy because look at this. 84 points the last 2 weeks in fantasy. Just a monster. I completely faded him because I thought a lot of people were going to be on him, which they were, but he still gave everybody who played him a deserving game. And a big part of that is because like the team's up, right? The team's up 17-0. The team's up big against Jacksonville, so he can run the ball. He got 33 rushing attempts. He's not going to catch the ball, right? Very rare usage, like 2 targets and you're lucky out of this guy. But he's been playing well. His usage has changed. He's been playing on a lot more snaps than Dion Lewis, which is a big switch these last 2 to 3 weeks. I'll put him in there to start. And yes, this is a situation where you're eating chalk. But again, majority of the players on this slate that you own are going to be 50% or higher, most likely. You just have to get that one guy or that 1 or 2 guys who are going to be sub 20, sub 30% owned, and then just hit on the other guys because a lot of people are going to have the same lineups. Henry has not the best matchup. Oh, there's my alarm going off real quick. Turn that off. Return my textbooks for school. Henry has not the best matchup, but on a slate where you have Baltimore's run stop and you have these 3-headed monster here at running back position, it's scary. In a slate where you have the Chargers, who have been giving up a little bit, but then you have Baltimore's running backs who, okay, you have Gus, who had a good week last week, but they also said that they want to get Kenneth Dixon a lot more involved, and yes, he did have a pretty good week as well. So you don't know where to go there. It's kind of playing Russian roulette. The guy that's getting the work the last 2 weeks, who has the best chance at home to get up on a team who's starting Josh Johnson at the quarterback position and get this work that we're seeing him getting, 20-plus touches is in the cards if they get up here. I like Derrick Henry. A lot of people are going to like Derrick Henry, of course. A good fade play would be to go Dion Lewis, who is a guy who's still getting some work in the passing game, still getting some work on the ground, especially if they're trailing. I just don't see them trailing in this game at home. But Dion Lewis is going to be an absolute stud tournament fade play. Not a lot going out of Chris Thompson here. AP. Yes, he's going to get a ton of work. AP is going to continue to get a ton of work. Check on his injury status. Could be a decent play against Tennessee if you think AP busts out another long run. Otherwise, he's going to have to get the goal line touchdowns really to do anything for you. So running back's not a great position this week. I mean, tempted just to put Melvin Gordon in there if he does end up playing. It's scary again because that hamstring can be reactivated at any point, like it was a few weeks back in Week 12 against Arizona. So Gordon's definitely a scary play, especially because you're paying up for him. But him and Henry might be the 2 safest plays. If you want to get off the board and be a little bit more risky, you can go with a guy like Ekeler, who might, if Gordon doesn't play, see the majority of the touches. Justin Jackson, again, is going to see a decent amount of touch share. He's also a good play. He's going to maybe be that 1-2 punch if Gordon gets hurt with Ekeler. Ekeler's a change of pace guy. Let's put Gordon in there for now. There's reports saying that he is going to play. It seems pretty straightforward that he will play practice in full, so you can feel confident about him playing. It seems like his hamstring is a little bit better, but again, in full game time, you never know. And he has a tough matchup against Baltimore. You're really hoping for what he did against Arizona. 10 carries for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns would be absolutely incredible against a defense like Baltimore, because it's going to be tough. But again, he is at home. Night game, so you can kind of hammer it late if you want to switch him out. If you feel like you need to switch up your lineup because one of your guys was a dud, you can switch him out later on. Let's go defense to try and fit in some other people. So if we're going to go defense, Tempted to play Chargers defense. Again, the ownership might be spread out across the board, 25% owned each. So at this point, you're just saying who's going to be the defense to score the most points. I want the home team in these matchups. The Chargers can get pressure against a guy like Lamar Jackson, who if he's not running the ball, he's probably just throwing the ball, and there's very high upside for interceptions with a young quarterback throwing across his body like we've seen him be doing this year. Baltimore's defense is also a great play on the road. Just don't know if I want to really play them against some Chargers players that I feel like I'll play more than these Ravens guys. The only Ravens guy that I might play is Lamar, I'm thinking, as of right now. Redskins D would probably be a pretty good tournament play. But I don't want to play them. Like I said, I want to play a good amount of Tennessee guys against that team. And then the Titans, they're the most expensive for a reason. They're going up against Josh Johnson, who is probably going to be throwing interceptions. He fumbled the ball last week as well. So they're at home as well. So playing these home defenses when it's colder weather in colder environments, such as Tennessee, might be the place that I go over the Chargers if we have the money. Let's just see what else we got, though. Tight end, Jordan Reed was injured. Don't really even know if I even want to touch him. We saw Vernon Davis, didn't really do too much. Not a great quarterback. It's going to be a wasteland at tight end once again. I mean, we're already looking at that right now. It's going to be which tight end falls in the end zone, if any of them fall in the end zone. Ferksker, he was the hot topic. I actually didn't end up playing him. He was in my player pool, though. Didn't end up playing him at 2,900. He comes up a little bit due to the short slate. But, I mean, laid goose eggs. Against Washington, that could totally change. He was supposed to see an increased role, but just got nothing. I didn't check his snap count, and that's something that I definitely want to do. Let's see if we can do that really quick now. I use Football Outsiders for this. It's usually pretty good. So while that loads, let's check the rest out. So I don't want to touch any of the Washington pass catchers at tight end. Antonio Gibson against Baltimore is scary, but he's been seeing some type of usage, right? And we know that when Rivers needs it the most, he does look there. All these Baltimore tight ends, there's a ton of them. Who's going to be the tight end of the week basically out there? You never really know, and you have Lamar throwing the ball. This is a wasteland, right? I'm basically choosing between Ferksker, who laid a goose egg, and Gates. Ferksker, for tournament-wise, he's cheaper, and he's going to be less owned due to laying up a goose egg. Let's see his snap count to see if we can feel a little bit more confident if his snap count's even out yet. So week 15, you just do this, and you go Tennessee. There's other sites you could use. I just like the simplicity of this. So Tennessee snap counts week 15. You can check out routes run on some other sites. You could actually use snap counts on Fantasy Draft Dashboard, but I think this is the entire season. I'll just go here quick. Wow. So week 15, he only had 25% of the snaps. They said they wanted to get him more usage. He didn't even get the majority of the snaps. That was Luke Stocker. And then you got a guy like Pruitt who had 57. I think he's more blocking. But let's see what Luke Stocker did, because he ran the majority of the routes out there. He's at 2,500. 2 catches, 2 targets, 27 yards. Again, this is a slate where that might be the highest scoring tight end. Last week it was 8.3 or 8.5. 2 guys tied for on the Saturday slate. Pruitt, what did he do on his limited? 1 catch on 2 yards, more of a blocking tight end. Stocker, though, had the highest percentage of snaps, caught 2 balls. Could be a low-owned guy to go after. Let's put that in for now because he's cheap. He'll allow us to get up at some other spots, although we don't really need to get up at other spots. It doesn't seem like, but maybe we do. Keenan Allen's going to have a tough matchup if he plays. It seems like he's going to be a game-time decision, so right now we're going to try and avoid him, and that makes a guy like Mike Williams a great play, right? I mean, we've seen Mike Williams just go off in situations where Keenan Allen didn't play like that last game. He got 3 touchdowns, just played absolutely out of his mind, but he is going to have a tougher matchup against Baltimore. And I'm kind of tempted to go after Ty Williams, if Keenan Allen's out. He had the targets, decent yardage, only caught half the balls, but he had the targets. And I mean, this guy catches touchdowns all the time, right? This guy catches bombs all the time. He might be the guy facing Jimmy Smith, who hasn't had an incredible year, but overall this Ravens secondary has been good. But for right now, let's put in Ty in there. Saves us a little bit of money. Corey Davis, he's going to be an automatic for me. Again, he's a guy who's seeing pretty huge target share on the year, but not as much recently. But he's going to be going up against a secondary that can easily be burned. Probably face Josh Norman, who's not the Josh Norman as was, and this is a situation where they're not playing for anything. Washington, so you could see Corey Davis maybe burn a guy. But let's check out actually Taylor, because Taylor's been seeing some targets as well. Yeah, so Taylor's been doing decent. Davis is the guy that I want to have here. And the thing I like about Davis is he hasn't been producing the last 2 weeks, right? And we know that he can produce. We know that he could do this. We know that he could do this. He should be low owned in tournaments. And again, this is me building more of a tournament lineup for this 2-game slate. Just because there's so few guys that I just want to take ownership into consideration. So now we're at 5,900 per play. This might be the week that you go wide receiver in the flex, right? Last week that won it, playing a cheaper wide receiver. I mean, yeah, you can go AP. AP's the guy who's going to get the touches that you want out of a running back. He's going to get all the goal line touches. But if he doesn't get touchdowns, he does this. And he does it pretty frequently. Single digits in like half of the games this year. Not something I want to touch. Chris Thompson would be a good play, especially because I think they're going to be down. I just don't know how much they're going to use him, right? I don't know how much Josh Johnson's going to be able to look at him or even get the ball to him for the most part. Gus Edwards is also a decent play, but he doesn't catch the ball at all. Literally no catches, 1 catch on the year. But he does get all the goal line work. He can get over 100 yards. He can do it against the Chargers, where the game should stay relatively close. But I'd rather have wide receivers who are going to catch the ball and get me more points over those types of running backs who aren't getting as much pass game production. Eckler maybe if you want to go double tight or double running back there, it should be a good spot to do it. Crowder last week, he's been the guy that's actually been seeing the targets from Josh Johnson. Not a terrible play, but if he's not a big-bodied receiver and doesn't have a decent quarterback throwing him the ball, not sure I want to touch it. Snead's been pretty consistent all year long out there. He's just been the 10-point guy, right? 10 points in like almost all the games this year. And again, you need a guy who's just going to really get you. Like Demaryius Thomas was in the winning lineup last week at 11 points. 14 points out of Antonio Callaway in the winning lineup. So, like, you just need guys who are going to do that for you. And a guy like Snead is a guy who can definitely do it. In the slot, people feel very comfortable. Lamar Jackson feels very comfortable throwing him the ball. Might be a place that I go. Getting down here, there's really not much on the slate, guys, like at all. Crabtree, he's been getting frustrated out there. He hasn't been seeing much production at all. But although at 3,800, similar spot as Callaway last week, was in a slump. Callaway has a better quarterback, though, passing-wise. He was in a slump, and then he came out of it with a touchdown and a couple of catches. He won people the tournament. I see nobody playing Crabtree this week. Crabtree could be a good play. John Brown, probably going to see his fair share of Casey Hayward. Again, you got Lamar Jackson throwing you the ball. It's not going to be that pretty. If I had to go anywhere, it's going to be Willie Snead. Out of any of these guys, Crowder's been on the field a lot more after coming back from the injury. So, I mean, it's kind of pick your poison here. Snead, Crowder. People are going to see Snead got 10 points. They're going to want to play him more over a guy like Crabtree, who hasn't really been getting any points out there. Any even looks, really. Harris, not really getting too much either. He had a couple of hot weeks, and that was about it. Floyd, is he playing at all? He's playing a little bit. He's definitely a sneaky play at $3,000 for a guy. If he gets in the end zone, nobody's going to have him either. We'll put Snead in here. Now the thing is, we can get any of these quarterbacks because there's really nobody else to kind of pay up for if Keenan Allen doesn't play. If Keenan Allen plays, I'm putting Keenan Allen in there. Like, he has a tough matchup, but there's just such few value on this slate that he's the guy I'm going to put in there. I'm tempted to do this, but so many guys against Baltimore is just so risky. They can shut down the entire offense. This could be a low-scoring game. This could be a 20-point total game where one guy's getting a touchdown on each side. So, tempted to play the Williams brothers because they both did well without Allen. I think that'll be the chalkier way to go. But a thing I like is you're going to have to kind of leave money on the table on this slate no matter what because there's not a lot of high-priced guys. We're paying up for the highest-priced running backs, basically, and we still have a ton of money left, even if we play the highest-priced guy at QB, right? So there is an opportunity to go up and get the Titans here. Where do we want to go at quarterback, though? I'm tempted to go Mariota. Let's see what Mariota's dealing with. Limited participant. He should be fine, though. Again, Mariota has the upside with his legs. He has, in my opinion, the best matchup. He's at home against Washington's secondary, which has been really shaky this year. Whoever's against Baltimore, even at home, isn't great. Lamar Jackson, he's going to be the sexiest play, right? And this is where I'm going to try and go contrarian. Go away from Lamar Jackson, who should be the only quarterback above 50% owned, in my opinion. I could see Mariota. A guy like Johnson's not going to be probably above 20%. Mariota should be coming around 20%. And I could see, or even less, and I could see a guy like Lamar. Rivers shouldn't be owned at all in a spot where he should do decent at home, but again, Baltimore, good defense. I think Jackson's going to be the highest owned guy because of what he's doing on the ground, and he's just doing it consistently, and it doesn't seem like anybody could really stop it when he's doing it for 15 plus times a week. But I'll take my odds with the better version of that passing-wise in Mariota, in my opinion, who does have the upside on the ground. And now what do you get here? You get Mariota. So the way that we're looking at this lineup, I might have to take out Stocker because we have too much Tennessee, right? We're pairing Mariota, stacking it with Corey Davis, Derrick Henry, and then Stocker as well. But again, tight end is a place you literally need 6-7 points out of 3 catches for 30 yards. Stocker ran the most routes last week. It could be Ferkser this week. We can get up anywhere we pretty much want at tight end. We just miss out on Gates, but again, we can go down at defense if that's what we want. Gates might be the best option in a spot where there might not be a lot of time to go downfield. But I'm going to put Stocker in because he's going to be the spot where we just saw. We looked at it. He ran the most routes. Nobody's going to know who the hell Luke Stocker is for the most part. They're not going to look down at the 2,500 range because that's bare minimum price, and there's a lot of just random names down there. So I'll keep Stocker in. We have a lot of Tennessee here. That's what's scary. But again, we've seen Tennessee blow out some teams the past few weeks. So this could be a good position. I like Mariota to Corey Davis. They get up big right there, and they just run it out with Henry. And if Stocker gets you a couple of catches, 3 catches literally for 20 yards, can get you there. This is definitely a contrarian lineup because then we're running it back with both receivers on the Chargers side, who should see the majority of the targets out there. Also running it back with Gordon. Scares me having 3 guys going up against the Baltimore defense. Again, something that I'm going to look at and change as we get more news about Keenan Allen, as we get more news out of the guys that like Austin Eckler, who didn't play last week, dealing with an injury, stuff like that. And then I'm fine going Willie Snead. I mean, we can really go anywhere at that spot. Snead's the most consistent guy, should have a decent ownership coming with him, but I feel like I'm differentiated in other areas enough to not worry about it. So, yeah, I'd rather play Snead, although I don't like Lamar Jackson throwing the ball, but Snead out of the slot is a spot that Jackson seems comfortable with. Same situation with Crowder. Josh Johnson feels comfortable throwing to the slot, it seems, and that's where Crowder is, probably a better matchup. Because he's going to have to go up against Desmond King, Snead, who's been an absolute stud. So maybe you do come off as Snead. Maybe you go really contrarian here and go Michael Crabtree, who hasn't done anything, who might see Casey Hayward, although John Brown could see Casey Hayward. Maybe Crabtree has a decent game on prime time. This is a spot that I feel comfortable going. This is just a fun slate. You want to differentiate yourself a little bit, but also get those studs in there. I think we got the studs at the running back position for sure. We got the stud in Corey Davis at wide receiver. If Keenan Allen doesn't play, if Keenan Allen plays, I'm going to throw him in there. Get your studs and then differentiate yourself other places. On a small slate, when you can play a whole lineup, it's important to get the studs who are going to get the opportunities. Differentiate yourself at tight end, at quarterback on a slate where we think Lamar Jackson should be highly owned. So this is it, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Best of luck on this slate. My picks video, you can go. Draft Dashboard is a tool that you can go and you can get access to my entire player pool. Last week I had 35 names in there with some injuries that I didn't take out, so it should have been closer to like 30. My players are going to be in there as of tomorrow, most likely. But then I'm going to filter that down on Saturday, and that'll be my tournament allocation for the most part. So you can get access to that for 30 days for $1, and you also get access to the entire pool here, or the entire tool. It shows you projections, it reduces your research time, shows you how many touches they're getting at the running back, receiver position, receptions, gives you all the depth charts, all these different types of things. It's a pretty good tool. For 30 days for $1, I think it's worth it. So in the link below, you can click that, and if you use that link, you get access to my player pool. So you can check that out as well. This is just a first look lineup at this. I think it's definitely a tough slate with less big names on it and a lot of guys who should go chalky, like Derrick Henry for what he's been doing, and a lot of spots to be contrarian in tournaments. I mean, you could be contrarian by rostering a guy like Dion Lewis, who has had upside this year, who does have a good matchup. But Derrick Henry's just been an absolute freak. He's not going to keep that up. Some week it's going to have to end. Maybe it won't be till next year, but Dion Lewis is a good pivot play. So is Kenneth Dixon, a guy that had a decent week, and they said they want to get him more work. So again, lots of ways to be contrarian, especially QB position. Every position, really. There's not studs at tight end. There's really not too many studs at wide receiver. So best of luck, guys. Have fun building these lineups. Have fun spending time with the family. I'll be back hopefully tomorrow, if not Friday, with that that tournament allocation pool breakdown of the Week 16 slate. Peace.